Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Just to jump right into it today, I wanted to do another review. I want to do a review on the Huda Beauty 3D highlighter palette. I purchased this probably at least a month and a half ago or so, so I've got a good idea what I think about it. So let's just get right into it. Okay, first off, price. This is a pricey palette. This is a $59 Canadian palette or $45 American. So pricey palette. All the Huda Beauty stuff that I've tried I really like. I do always kind of find it priced maybe like 15% higher than what I was like expecting or think that it should be. So that is something I find with this brand, although I do like everything that I try typically. This is a funny palette because I don't know how many of you follow like the Huda Beauty line on Instagram or Twitter and I guess whatever else, other social media. But I follow her on Instagram and I heard about this highlighter palette months and months and months before it actually ended up coming out. I was so excited when I first saw it. And I couldn't wait, and then I was like, oh my god, this is taking for absolute ever and ever to launch. So to me, I was kind of thinking like, I wonder how marketing and promoting it that long before it actually came out, what that ended up doing for the product, because I feel like everybody was really excited about it for a while, and then like when it just keeps not coming out, like your interest kind of wanes. And I didn't find a whole lot of people were talking about this when it actually did end up coming out. So I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing that it was so promoted so long before it actually came out. But it did come out, and I did end up picking it up because I was super intrigued. I love a good highlighter, let alone a highlighter palette. So I was super excited. So this comes in two shades. There is the Golden Sands version, which I have, and then there's also the Pink Sands version. So I swatched them both in Sephora. Actual product-wise, I actually liked the Pink Sands blush better and the cream highlighter, but the powder highlight that it had in it was super white, and for me it honestly was just too white to be usable. It would obviously look really pretty on really fair toned skin tones, but I knew that if I got that palette I really would never get to use one of the shades very much, and when I'm paying $59 for a palette I want to make sure that I'm going to use each and every shade in the palette. So I ended up going with this one, and I do like the shades in this one, but I did like these shades in the other one better, except for that one white highlighter shade. So anyways, I did end up going for this one. It's basically, you know, the Golden Sands is for more warm tone skin tones. The Pink Sands is more for like cool tone skin tones. But really you can use whichever one that you like. So I ended up with this one, and this is kind of an interesting palette because you get 4 different products in it. So the first one that you get in the top left is a cream highlighter. So this one is called Fiji, and I guess every shade in the palettes is named after a famous beach, famous beaches around the world. I mean, God knows I don't know any of them because I don't get to travel to exotic beaches and stuff like that. So some of these names I'm going to end up butchering, but I'm going to try my best. So you end up getting 0.35 ounces of product in this cream one here. So you obviously do get decent amounts of product in this palette. I love that they're nice large pans. And then in the other 3 powder shadows you get 0.28 ounces, so a little bit less, but I think it has to do with being a different like a cream versus a powder. So basically the moral of the story is you get quite a bit of product in this palette. I like the actual palette itself. I think the front of it is just so beautiful. I love it. I love that it's nice and compact. I like the cardboard. I think some people would wish that there was a mirror. To me, I don't care that there's no mirror. I wouldn't use it even if it was there. Love the actual packaging of it. The black and the gold are really pretty looking. Yeah, so anyways, I kind of got off topic there. So you get this cream highlighter shade in the top left. To the right of it, oh man, this is the one I can't pronounce. Seychelles? It's that one right there. So this is a powder highlight. So this is obviously a very gold highlight. So you have to be careful. If you're very fair, these highlighters probably won't work really well for you. But these look really pretty on my skin tone. And then down in the bottom here, so you have the shade Tahiti. And this is kind of like a shimmery bronzer shade. And then over here you get Zanzibar, which is a shimmery blush shade. So you get 4 different products in here, which is kind of cool and would be really good for traveling. You can bring, you know, highlight, your blush, and your bronzer all kind of in one palette there. So I will end up doing swatches of this, obviously. I've used this palette for a while, and my overall impression of it is that it's just okay. Now maybe this is my fault, but I don't use a lot of cream highlighters to begin with. I'm pretty much a powder girl through and through. Once in a while I'll use like the Cover FX illuminating drops, is that what they're called? I can't remember. But for the most part I stick to powder highlights just because I like that I don't have to worry about them disturbing my foundation and powder underneath. I just can't really seem to make cream highlighters work for me very well. I find if I put them on before I put my like setting powder on, then they just don't show up as well after I have my powder on. But if I put them on after my powder, then they just don't blend out well and they're moving stuff around. And then I just end up being ticked off and wish that I had just stuck with a powder highlight. So I was hoping this one will be different, but it does do that same thing that other cream highlighters do, where I just don't feel like it sits on my skin very well. But I will say, if you put this cream highlight down and then put this powder highlight on top of it, it really, really pops and you can get an amazing looking highlighter. They both do look pretty on their own as well, but really putting the 2 of them on top of each other is really how you're going to get like a beaming highlight. So the next shade would be this kind of bronzy shade down here. You can't even, it looks so washed out actually in my viewfinder. I hope you guys can see it a little better. This shade down here, it's an okay shade. I don't love shimmery bronzers to start off with, and I always feel like I have to layer this with like another bronzer or contour powder with it to kind of give it the intensity that I want. It just doesn't show up really great on my skin tone, and it may be because I'm a little bit darker, but I just never feel like I want to use this product by itself. And then this blush over here is also, it's pretty. If you don't like shimmery blushes, you will not like this one because it's very shimmery. But again, it doesn't really give me the color intensity that I'm looking for. I get a lot of sheen and I do get kind of a nice pinky wash on the cheeks, but I find that I can't really build it up without it getting way too shimmery and way too much. And when you've got too much shimmer going on in your cheeks, then you're going to start seeing texture and breakouts and stuff and pores and stuff that you don't want to see. So it's not something you can really build up very much. So I always end up kind of pairing this with another blush too. And to me, it's just kind of a pain in the butt to have to go into 2 different products for, you know, when I only really want to use one. So I honestly think I am going to return this palette. I just decided the other day because I was like, you know what, I used it quite a few times when I first got it to see what I think. And then the last couple weeks, I just haven't really wanted to pick it up. It doesn't call to me. It doesn't do anything for me that my other highlighters or blushes do. And the fact that it's $59, like if I'm going to be paying $59 for a smaller palette like this, I really want it to be something that I love. So overall, this is definitely not a bad palette. It just is not my favorite. And when I'm spending this kind of money, I really expect it to be great. So I do think I'm going to be returning this palette, unfortunately. Although I still love everything that Huda Beauty does. But this was just not my favorite product from her. So there are the swatches of the Golden Sands palette. This is your cream highlighter over here. Doesn't swatch out great actually. And then this one here is your powder highlight. This is your kind of bronzer shade here. You can see what I mean by like, I don't get a lot of pigment out of that one on my face. Definitely get a lot of shimmer, but not a whole lot of pigment for my skin tone. And then finally, this is the blush over here swatched out. Again, looks pretty swatched, but when you're shearing it out using it with a brush, I just get a lot of shimmer, not a ton of pigment. But I will say overall, these shades work really well together. If you ever find yourself struggling to get like your highlight blush and kind of contour bronzer to kind of look very, as if it's all very seamless, like you find yourself getting stripes or patches or stuff like this, this is a great palette because they all work really well together. They blend together well. So I will say that is a good pro of this palette. So anyways, those are the swatches there. And then finally, I wanted to show you the palette actually on. I do have it on this side here. So let me see if I can move my hair, and you can see I can get a pretty shimmery highlight, but you just don't see a lot of that blush pigment, not a lot of that bronzer pigment there. But my highlight looks really pretty. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back soon with another one. Bye!